So you want to do some sport riding on the Braaap Moto4, do you? Well, you'll have to change some things if you do. This video is about the changes I made to this bike. Get rid of the commuting tyres that come with the bike. Get yourself a set of these little beauties. Metzeler Sportec M9RRs. Absolutely second to none in wet and cold conditions and brilliant handling on dry bitumen. Whack on a new front sprocket with one extra tooth, and here's why. When you buy a motorcycle tyre, the size of the tyre is actually stamped on the carcass. In this particular case, let's just say the tyre's got a 180 55 by 17 inch size. We know that that would be a motorcycle tyre size for a 17-inch wheel, represented by that final digit. It's the first two digits that give us some information about the width and height. The first digit, the 180, represents the tyre width in millimetres, so this tyre would be 180 millimetres wide. The next digit, 55, is the aspect ratio number, and what that is a percentage representation of the tyre width to tell you how high that tyre is. So in this case, the height of the tyre would be 55% of 180 millimetres. Why they do that, I don't know, but that's the interpretation of it. Now, the original tyre that comes with the Braaap Moto4, it is a 150/70 by 17, so we know it fits a 17-inch rim. It's 150 millimetres wide, and the height of the tyre is 70% of the 150 millimetres. So we know that if we use those calculations, we know that the 70% value is the aspect ratio. It has a height of 105 millimetres. Now, when we convert to the Metzeler Sportec M9RRs, the tyres that we actually get are 150/60 by 17. So yes, it fits a 17-inch rim. We know that the width of the tyre is 150 millimetres wide, but the height of the tyre is 60% of that width. So in this particular case, the tyre is 19 millimetres high. Now, the problem with that is that's different than the original tyre. This is 90 millimetres high, whereas the original tyre that came on the bike is 105 millimetres high. And what that overall represents is a 30 millimetre reduction in diameter. So you end up having a smaller diameter wheel on when you put the Metzeler tyres on. And what we've got to do is overcome the effects of that, because that affects the gearing. The smaller the tyre gets, then the less speed we're actually going to get for a given rev range. So what we do is we add a front sprocket with an additional tooth. That's why we do it. See, up here for thinking. Rip off that old chain that came with the motorcycle and get yourself a good high quality O-ring chain that's not going to stretch or break. I'm a huge fan of the RHK Gold racing chains, and we've got these fitted on all of our bikes, including the BMW race bike. Put on some tank grips, because that's going to allow you to attach properly to the bike with your legs. I'm a big fan of the stomp grip version, but easy grip also make a good option. Replace the brake fluid with a high temperature racing fluid. We use Motul RBF600 in the Moto4 here. Now, it's important to remember that when you fill the fluids up, don't overfill it. Stop the fill between the minimum and maximum marks to allow for heat expansion. Slip on a slip-on muffler. It's not only going to sound great, it's going to allow the engine to breathe more effectively. For good measure, why don't you add an Aero Package to bling up the bike? We added, in addition to that, some small stick-on convex mirrors so that we could actually see behind. And finally, remember this, we haven't replaced the suspension on this motorcycle, so that is going to be a limiting factor in the cornering of this particular bike. Well, that's it from me. So, time to go and set up your bike. Remember, have a ton of fun on it and stay upright.